Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is October the 6th and I haven't been able to get down to the pot too much really due to the poor weather we've had over the last week. Lots of heavy rain and strong winds. Anyway, today's a good forecast all day today. Woohoo! So I'm going to crack on. The theme really is one of doing the big clean-up. I have actually managed to make a start in the greenhouses and whatnot, so I'll give you a quick look and then tell you what the plans are for today. Okay, so in the small greenhouse, the 8x6, you can see that on this side these were the cherry tomatoes, the stew piece, the heirloom ones. I've removed those and I've just got this enviromesh, took it off yesterday from a couple of raised beds just to dry out a bit. I'm in two minds. I'm going to try and hang on. I might take a few peppers today, but I can see some are also ripening, so I'm going to try and leave these for a bit longer. Obviously if there's any frost due I will harvest them, but I do want to try and get them all as ripe as possible. And then the only other thing we're going to say, we've got the pongo beans. They are drying out very nicely now. Right, let's go and have a look in the bigger one. So in the 8x10, these are all the heirlooms, and I had a few cherries here, including San Marzano. So as you can see, they've all gone. I've moved in a couple of the boxes of multi-sown onions. As I say, I'm hoping I'll get them as spring onions. That's the plan. Whether they'll make up or not, we'll have to see. So they've all gone. There's tomatoes here, and on this side, see, I've stripped all the leaves off now off the Crimson Crush. There's still quite a bit of fruit on, so I'm probably going to harvest these next week. So these will come out next week, and then I'll probably remove the basil, and then what I'm hoping to do is plant some of the overwintering lettuce in here. It did very well for me last year, so that's something I'm going to try and do again. In the frame here I've got some more Savoy. Those are January King 3. Looks like the slugs have got to them a little bit, but I'm hoping to try and get those out today. So that bed's cleared now and covered over with poly. This one will be going the same way. These lettuces, I'll be transplanting them into the greenhouse like I just said. If I'm careful, that should work out. It did last year. And then that bed will be covered over. That rocket will probably come out. Need to harvest some of those radishes actually. Just have a look. Yeah, they're definitely harvestable. Take some of those today. So I've taken the nets off these excuse me, kale beds, and I'm probably thinking that I'll just spin you around slowly. I'll probably do the same with these spring cabbages. I'll take this net off, and what I'm thinking of doing is this bed here, well, it's not a bed, but this row of double row of Savoy, I'm going to replicate that in that far bed. So the net off the spring cabbage I'll do the same as I've done here, and then I want to harvest the last few beans of these pongos and then pull them out. So then really in this bed that'll just leave the raw leeks, the Savoy cabbage that I'm hoping will make up for next February, March. Then there's a couple of chard plants there which are still actively throwing out leaves. So that'll be what's in that bed. In this bed you can still see I've got the Lolo Rosso lettuces. So we're just picking that about once a week. We have a harvest from that, and obviously they'll keep going till the first frost. So what I'm going to do, the plan is to put the elephant garlic in this bed here, because I don't think that's had garlic in now for about 4 years. Purple sprouting broccoli, just keep pulling any dead leaves off that, trimming it up a wee bit. Now this bed here, so the Savoy cabbage, what I need to do is just clean this bed up a wee bit. There's a few weeds in it, not many, and then plant the Savoy here. But before I do that, there's some leeks here which really I don't think are going to do a lot of good, that first row, so I'm going to pull them out, and then as I say the cabbage will go in here. On the root frames I've put polycarbonate sheets over just to try and keep the worst of the rain off, and then we'll just harvest them as and when we need them. Just as a matter of interest, in my 1,000 litre IBC, I don't know whether you can make that out, that's 100 gallon. Last week, you know, there was nothing in it, it was completely empty, and that's just off one side of an 8x6 shed roof. So the first job really is to just take these leeks out. You can see there's a couple gone to seed, that one's keeled over, doesn't look very good. So I'm going to dig those out, we'll use them, and then I'm just going to sheet it over. There we go, so that's that sheeted over. And we've got a handful of small but perfectly usable and edible leeks. Right, on with the next job, that'll be the pongo beans. Now we'll go and get those out. Alright, so there's the pongo beans come out. Now they're going to go obviously onto the compost heap. And that'll just give me time to clean the row and get in amongst those. Again, not many weeds, but just nice to get in and just clean those leeks out. Some of those are looking quite good now. Not a big harvest, but certainly enough for tea tonight, so that'll be most appreciated. Right, I'm just going to spin you around. So now I'm going to turn my attention to this bed here. Like I said, there's not a huge amount of weed, but we'll try and get in now and get it cleaned up, and then we're going to put our row of Savoy, you know, somewhere, might shove them to one side. Anyway, but in here. I've got the bed prepared, I've got the frame in place. There's the Savoy cabbage, you can see they have been chiggled a bit, but hopefully they'll come back. I've no idea whether they'll make up or not, to be honest, but it's worth a try. And then as usual procedure, into each planting hole a good handful of garden lime, and then once they're planted, put a nice handful of 6X sort of like in a circle around the plant so it gets washed in, and hopefully that'll give them a boost, make a bit of growth, you know, before winter proper sets in. Right, I've got 8 plants in. See, I've planted them deep, and then a ring of the 6X around the outside. So we'll see how they get on. While I was here, I thought I'll give these little spindly leeks one more chance. So I'm going to get in and get the weed out and give them a feed of 6X and just see whether that'll give them a boost. It's my fault, I planted them. This is where the courgette bed was, and there was a kind of row about there, and they're very greedy feeders, so you know you can see the difference between the ones nearest the courgettes, whereas the ones further away obviously had access to more nutrients. So yeah, we'll get that weeded out, give them a feed, and then on with the net. So that's it guys, I've got the weed, I've weeded it out. I put 6X around, if you can make that out on this camera, but just concentrated on that first row really, as I say, where they seem to be lacking nutrients. We've got the net on. I think the only other thing to mention, I didn't water them because we've had all the rain, so there's tons of moisture in the soil, so they won't have to get the roots down too far. And the reason why I'm netting them is just because wood pigeons really. I haven't seen any cabbage whites all week, so I think they're more or less finished, but I'm a bit concerned about if I didn't net them, the wood pigeons would be in and that would be the end of them. So another job I want to do is remove this side of the basil on this side of the greenhouse, and then get some of those, if not all of those, overwintering lettuces that just outside in that bed there, get them transplanted in here where they're going to do so much better. I've left that one in there because planning to do a courgette and basil risotto this Friday. Probably much use up the last of our courgettes, so I'm going to leave that one because that's got more sort of nicer leaves on. A lot of these are going to flower again. I'll just spin you around. So again, the softer parts that's going to go on the compost. These more woody stems, I'll just put those on the bonfire and we'll take the ash once to do the fire, so nothing gets wasted. Okay, so what I want to do is transfer these overwintering lettuces into that bit I've just cleared where the basil was. I don't know if you can make that out. It's put some new leaves out here. This was one of the original leaves. It's gone more or less dead. So just going to carefully remove anything like that. And then we'll just dig these up. What happened was they got root bound in the seed container. But due to all that wet weather, so you can see like there's enough roots on there. So what I'm going to do is transplant those in. I will give them a watering because I haven't been watering the greenhouse for 2 or 3 weeks now. But you see, there should be enough root on there to get that going. So we've got them in. All we need to do now is just give them a watering. I'm using quite a fine rose here. As I say, I've not been watering the greenhouse at all for probably a couple of weeks or more. So the soil is very dry underneath. And then we'll see how they go on. I just forgot to mention there was a few spring onions outside, so again, I don't know if it'll work. I've transplanted them, but if they grow and we can harvest, that's going to be worth the effort. So all we need to do now is pull the few remaining weeds out of this bed. Like I said earlier, I was going to take those the rocket out there, but then I noticed there was actually quite a lot of hoverflies. In fact, I can see one on there now. You might not be able to see it. I can zoom in. There's definitely a hoverfly on there, but there were quite a lot. So obviously they're coming for the pollen, the nectar, whatever. So what I'll do is I'm going to leave them in because we need to do what we can to help our pollinators. So I'll leave those in, and then when I've got the weeds out, I'll just put the plastic and just fold it over until they're done, and then I'll take them out and just cover the last bit with plastic. There we go, that's what I'm talking about. Job done. Okay, the last job for this morning, I'm going to go and open up the carrot frame and lift a few carrots. But before I do that, I just want to show you something here. When I took this cover off these spring cabbages, I mean, that's harvestable now. I'm quite amazed by that. So I've got one full Savoy cabbage left. I mean, we've got the kale, of course, and we've got chard as well. So in terms of leafy greens, we're fine, but we do love spring cabbage, even though it's autumn, not spring. But what I could do, if we're short, is just take a few and obviously just leave the ones to come on in, like this sort of thing here, for example. But yeah, that's quite amazing, that. So that's about it for this one, guys. Don't forget, give me a thumbs up if you're liking the content. I've got my apples to press, and we're supposed to be getting some fine weather next week, so there will be a video coming up on that, apple pressing and making cider, in the next couple of weeks. So as I say, thanks very much indeed for watching. I'm just going to spin you around. We've got a little harvest to take home now.